Apparition here in Medjugorje, and what's your name?
My name's Daniel.
Daniel, where are you from?
From Melbourne, Australia.
And first time for you here in Medjugorje?
Yes, so first time here. So I just arrived here last night, and I start a 1 week pilgrimage tomorrow.
Wow, unbelievable. When did you hear the first time about Medjugorje, and what did you think at the time?
So, I heard about Medjugorje many years ago, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, from my family, but I never really investigated much about Medjugorje. So, for me, it was just something that just went by, and it was a place that, I'd never really thought much about. And then my mum and brother went to Medjugorje last April on a pilgrimage, and they got a lot out of it, but it seemed like that some of the graces that came from their pilgrimage kind of flowed on to the rest of the family as well. So kind of was really interesting because, I've never been to Medjugorje myself, but through their trip I felt inspired to come here, so here I am.
Did you see any changes when they came back from Medjugorje?
It was interesting because it's hard sometimes, like when they were telling me about Medjugorje, sometimes it's hard to feel that feeling. Sometimes people feel that feeling, straight away, and then for some other people it takes a little bit longer to feel it. So I think for them it took maybe a little bit longer, but at the same time, I think it really did strengthen their faith in that respect. And we fast forward 12 months, and I think all of our faith has grown. So sometimes I think as well with Medjugorje, some people might experience it straight away, but I feel like the effects of Medjugorje is kind of even flowed on month by month, which is really interesting. So, the more that you hear about Medjugorje, the more you want to know more about the place, which is really incredible, but also really heartwarming, and it just shows the power of this place.
And you said in Australia there are a lot of young people practicing the Catholic faith.
Yes.
What's your journey? Why are you Catholic?
Yeah, so like in Melbourne, Australia, where I live, there's different communities. So there's young people that go to church, but it isn't that big, I find, from my point of view in Australia. It seems like, most of the time when you go to church, it's mainly old people. So it's interesting. So I only started really going regularly to Mass on Sundays from last year, from the trip that my mother and brother went to Medjugorje. So
and the effect was on you?
I was on myself, yes. Wow. Yeah. So I wouldn't have, I hadn't gone to church for a couple of years, and that was, even post-COVID. So it was basically through, the trip to Medjugorje where I felt, my mum and brother's trip to Medjugorje, that I felt like, I wanted to improve my faith and come back to the church, so to speak, because I felt like I almost went away from the church. I wasn't following. I thought it was a little bit of a waste of time, so to speak. So that was, that was me.
What made you happen to go, what they told about Medjugorje, or?
It was, I think just really researching more into the place, to be honest. I think thinking about, life after death as well. I think that was something that really stuck in me, and, I think everyone that comes here seems to get something out of it. Like it's not a waste of time coming here, and I think as well it's that sense of peace, I think as well. And, I was doing a lot of research last year in August. I had a couple of weeks off work at that time, and I was at home, so I didn't go on any trip, but most of the time I was spending was watching the youth festival videos online through Mary TV, and that was at home. And it was fantastic. It was so good. I was starting watching one, and then I watched a second one and a third one. It was almost quite addictive. So it was, and that it made me realise, because it was probably the first time really I've seen quite a lot of young people going to church and seeing it visible through that setting at the youth festival in end of July, August. And so that really pushed me and inspired me, because I was like, there's other young people that are actually going and that have a strong faith, and I feel like, I can do the same. There's nothing stopping me from, growing my faith. Absolutely. And I'm only just turned 26, so I feel like, you start getting older, and you do want to, you want to find some purpose in life. I think, there's so much out there, you know, for young people. You know, there's so much entertainment, all of these things, but sometimes it's not fulfilling. And I think sometimes we go on this journey in life trying to find what is our purpose. So I feel like sometimes, you know, going on that path, you know, for example, through Medjugorje is a way to really discover yourself, and that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, absolutely.
But you seem to have found it already last year after your mother came back.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like it's really interesting because now I've only been here a day, and it's really interesting seeing it in person as well. So I feel like I've still got quite a, you know, I've got quite a bit of, you know, what would you say, like developing my faith as such. So I feel like I've got a long way to go. You know, I haven't had any feeling yet, so to speak. You know, some people feel that strong feeling that they get, and so I haven't received that yet. So I feel like I still need to really pray and step by step. Yeah, literally step by step. But yeah, it is great to be here, and you know, I feel like it's not a trip wasted, so to speak. So you've got to be open.
Yeah, you will see. We'll do an interview maybe at the end. When
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Because I've just arrived here, so it's all very new, and I think as well it's interesting with Medjugorje because, you know, working in aviation, you know, I always try to find where's the closest airport, and realised it was actually quite difficult to get here, and you know, having to go to Australia, and to go to Sarajevo, and you know, then get on a train and you know, get here. But sometimes, you know, life isn't easy as such, and I've kind of put it down to that sometimes finding these, you know, special places, you kind of have to work a little bit to get there, and that's what I found with Medjugorje. It's not like you've got an airport, you know, 20-25 minutes away. Well, you've got Mostar, but there's not as many connections, so it's interesting like that.
So you came through Sarajevo and you took the train here, or how did you?
Yeah, well, I actually started, so had a few days in London, but then I was in Frankfurt for a night, so I went Frankfurt.
My home airport.
The Frankfurt airport's huge, but went from Frankfurt to Vienna. Then Vienna to Sarajevo, then train to Mostar, and then taxi basically from Mostar to here. So it was
quite a journey.
It was quite a journey. So I was exhausted when I got here, but yeah, like it's great to be here, you know. And sometimes that's what life throws you. You know, you have to work hard. It's not like you're going to get things handed to you on a you know, a plate, so to speak. So yeah, but now that I'm here, it's nice to be here and look forward to, you know, growing in my faith further.
And after your mother came back, you said you went back to the Catholic Church, you went to confession, all that stuff?
Yes, yeah. So eventually, so what happened was, so when they came back, I started going to church regularly. I was going to confession, I didn't really go to confession at all prior, like it was maybe once a year, if that. And then I've started going at least once a month, because that was one of the messages through Medjugorje, was to go as often as possible. So been doing that, and then been trying to go even sometimes a bit more than once a month or twice a month, because I didn't realise that you know, receiving Holy Communion in a state of sin is a sin. You shouldn't actually receive it, and that was something I actually didn't know. So it was something that's been on my mind. So that's a way for me to understand, you know, what it is to actually receive Jesus, I think, as well, because, you know, you see everyone at Mass and everyone goes up, and that's great because we can't judge, we're not here to judge, but at the same time it's a great conscience thing to understand, and if you are in sin, to go to confession first and then receive Holy Communion. So that's something that I didn't actually know at the time, and until someone told me.
Fully catechized, no?
Yeah, exactly right, and there's all these different things, and you know, I received from my dad, it was an examination of conscience, you know, leaflet, and it had all these different things on there, and I didn't even know that they were sins. So it was a great opportunity.
What did you know? What isn't sin?
Yeah, well, like, yeah.
Who learned something now?
Yeah, well, yeah. So for example, receiving Holy Communion in a state of sin, you know, arriving to Mass late or leaving Mass early. You know, that was another big thing. I know for myself, sometimes I've arrived a few minutes late to Mass, and you know, and you kind of leave it to the last minute, and I didn't know that was a sin. So, and leaving Mass early before, you know, before the priest leaves, and all of that sort of thing that, you know, you think about it and you're like, oh, it is respectful to do that, but you don't think about it as a sin. So that's what I've been learning a bit more about is, what can we do to, grow ourselves, I guess, closer to God and understand what is right and what we need to do better in. And that's what I've been trying to share with different people and, about the understanding of that stuff, because a lot of people don't know, the importance of that. And that's why it's so great here in Medjugorje, because you've got all the confessionals and they're open even throughout the Mass as well. So there is opportunities for you to go to confession even during this.
Melbourne to go? Or?
Oh, it is. It is quite hard. You have to really plan to go to confession. I think it depends on the parish. There are some parishes where, say for example, like a Latin Mass or a Latin parish will have the confessions during the Mass as well. So that's really great opportunities. But other times you have to really find and search it, which is, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not as readily available in Melbourne, I find. It's not as, I'm not going to say publicised, but it's just something that's not really there, so to speak.
Did you go to Latin Mass as well? Or did you go?
I have gone to a couple of Latin Masses.
How did you like that?
It was interesting. So they're long Masses, so
Yeah.
I found it hard to stay in reverent for the whole time. I felt like my mind was wandering off. But for example, my dad and my sister, they regularly go. They love it. Like, they get so much out of it. Whereas myself, I haven't got to that stage yet to fully immerse myself. But I have been to a couple, and I do respect the nature of that. And it's a really reverent Mass. So if you of course, that's something that you really like, that it is available for you, which is fantastic.
The variety, which is beautiful.
Oh, 100%. It's so
you
true.
You played the rosary, or how is that for you?
Yeah, so I started praying it from last year, so mid to late last year. So I try to say it every day.
Really? Wow, amazing.
Yeah, try to say it once a day, but it's hard. It's one of those things, because you don't want to just say the rosary just for the sake of saying it and get it done in 15 minutes and that's done. It needs, absolutely. It's one of those things. But I started saying the St. Michael prayer as well. I think that's really powerful, because I think in this day and age, in this world, there are so many demons out there and the devil's always present. I find it's, I think temptation is a really big thing. I think for young people as well. I think it's a really big thing that we always get tempted with so many different things. There's so many things readily available to us, and we have to make a conscious decision whether to go on what the devil is asking or to not, and to be more present. And I think that's something that we all have to try to strive to get better at. And so... And
you read books about the faith, or how to grow in faith?
Not really. I haven't read too many books, but I have actually read, it was a really important book by Christine Watkins. It was about the warning.
You watched the YouTube channel?
Yes, yeah. So she's got the Queen of Peace Media there, and she's really inspired me, through her YouTube channel, and as well as with yours as well, Tom. But yeah, it's really interesting, because Christine's got quite a few books that she's written, and they're really powerful conversion stories. So I have started reading those, and it's really grown my faith as well.
And at the end, what would you tell people why come to Medjugorje, your first impression?
I think come to Medjugorje for trying to find, if you want to find purpose in your life. I think in 2024, it's never been, I think, a more important time to really, understand not only yourself, but understand the world as well, and what's around you. And to sometimes, I think, what I've realised just being here in Medjugorje is it's quite simple here. It's very the simplicity. Sometimes I think we all need a little bit of that in our lives. I think because we've got so much out there, we've got social media, we've got everything handed to us. And I think sometimes we just need to remove that and to be more present. So I think come to Medjugorje if you want to be more present, and just, grow your faith further. And of course, because, Mary's still appearing here to the visionary. So there is special graces here, so it's never a trip wasted.
Thank you so much for that beautiful interview.
Thank you so much, Tom.